do you actually find good people for your practice? When Mike and I first started in business, we thought we need to interview people. That's a definite. Back in those days in 93, 94, you actually put an ad in the newspaper. We put an ad in the newspaper, we got phone calls, and we scheduled interviews. We thought, okay, 30 minutes an interview. Okay, good. I think we were looking for a front desk person. Okay, we're trying to run a practice. Now it's 30 minutes an interview, and I had 60 people to call back. And so what we did was I started, at the top of the list, and I'd call, and I'd schedule a 30-minute interview, and we'd tuck it in. On our day off, we would do 30-minute interviews, and we'd probably get through 10 or 11 people and go, oh my, this is just grueling. Let's just pick from these 10 people that we talked to. I can't even imagine scheduling another 40 30-minute interviews. That's 20 hours of time at the least, but probably more with the phone calls. So then what we'd do is we'd say, okay, let's just pick from, we found enough people, let's just pick from them, and then we'd pick from them. And then we'd hire them, and we'd bring them on, and sometimes it worked, and sometimes it didn't work. But as we started to see our visits were scaling, we had to hire more people, and this 30-minute interview process, and then bring back for a second interview, and maybe check a reference, because everybody told us we had to check references, it started to ball up really fast. And we started falling back on some old habits, which was, hey, I know so-and-so, and they are so good at front desk because they worked at so-and-so's front desk and they're so good, you should hire them. And we defaulted back to some of our bad habits, which is so-and-so said they're good. Then discovered, of course, there was a reason why we abandoned those bad habits and went to the interview process. So now we're in this interview process, and we said, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be more efficiency to this. And somebody said, why don't you interview more than one person at a time? And we're like, oh, never could do that. No. How do you do that? Isn't that like a violation of privacy, of asking somebody a question and then the other person a question? How do you do such a thing? And so as we evolved, and we evolved our processes, we actually came across the process of a group interview, which violate anybody's privacy or whatever, it doesn't make anybody feel weird about it, which is a group interview. And what we discovered was this: when we were doing individual interviews, the first 15 minutes of every interview was exactly the same. Meaning, we told a little bit about the practice, about what we're doing, about what we're looking for. It was like exactly the same. So we thought, if we could bring in these 10 people, or how about these 40 people, and that first 15 minutes, give them that 15 minutes to the whole group. So we would bring everybody in, right? And what would happen is we'd schedule 40, maybe 25 would show up. And then we would actually, Mike would do a presentation of these 15 minutes, what we're all about, what we're looking for, the philosophy of the practice. He'd ask a question or two from the audience, okay, just to engage the audience. And then what we said was, okay, initially we're like, we'll do 15-minute interviews afterwards. But then mathematically we thought, all right, well, if there's 20 people there, gosh, we're gonna be there for 5 hours or 6 hours, and these people are gonna be sitting there waiting. So we're like, this isn't gonna work. We'll do the group, give the first 15 minutes, right? And then we won't ask them all the questions. Let's just ask them a handful of questions about their experience, right? And only give them each 5 minutes. Okay, and we started running interviews that way, and we absolutely got better at being able to filter through larger amounts of people. Now we were getting we had a 6 out of 10 chance of it working out. Good, except when your practice is growing like that, or you're wanting to build something, staff turnover is very costly, and it's very much disrupts the flow. If you have a front desk person that every 3 weeks you have a new front desk person, it not only affects you having to train, it actually affects your patients because they see the turnover. So we still were not happy with it, and we said there's got to be another way. What can we do during this interview process? And what can we do in that room to really weed through enough people to find out who we want to actually talk to? And then we developed our process. And I'm going to give you that process, that first portion of that interview process, so that you too can try this success. AMI actually has this incredible hiring system. It's a stair-stepping hiring system. It's literally turnkey, okay? So it's got 4 steps to it, all the documentation, everything you need for it. What I'm going to give you today is the first step of this process. I'm going to tell you how to do this type of group interview so that you yourself can at least not have the pain that we had, which was just hiring anybody to fill a spot because you don't have time for interviewing. This will at least get you down to who do you really want to talk to, okay? What we came down to was this: group interview, put the ad out, 50 people respond, they want to come. We never allow more than 25 RSVPs per group. There's a little tidbit for you, okay? If you have 50 people, it's hard to control the room and people leave, okay? They don't want to wait for their 5 minutes, okay? 25 people, you get about 18 to show up. They're there for 15 minutes. You do your 15-minute conversation with them about which you're on the same page. And then what you do is you interview them separately, okay? You give them 5 minutes separately. Number one tip is don't allow more than 20 or 25 to RSVP for the interview process. And tidbit number two is have them sign in. Because when you call their 5 minutes, you're calling it in the order they signed in. So everybody is aware how long they have to wait because they know when they signed in, and the people who show up late understand why they're waiting longer. It keeps begrudgedness down in the group while they're waiting for their 5 minutes, okay? So you take them in the room and you're gonna interview them. Now, what we discovered was in 5 minutes, it's very hard to review a resume and answer and actually go through a resume. So what we do instead is we just ask them some random questions because we realized on the first interview, we're not actually looking for experience. We're looking for the culture in the person. Because that was what we kept making the mistake on was we would do these half-hour interviews or before we do a group interview and we'd pour over the resume and we'd pick the person most qualified for the job and we'd get them out there. And we couldn't understand why they would flop. They're so qualified. They have this education, they have all this experience. How does it not work? We realized it's because cultural fit is primary, meaning if they're a cultural fit, they can learn anything, right? So if they're a cultural fit and they have experience, remember I told you, how am I going to teach you how to find good people? 9 out of 10, at 9 out of 10, they're going to make it. We go for the cultural fit first. So this group interview process is all about the cultural fit. Okay, so when they show up for the group interview, they sign in, right? So you have your order. You tell them in the group interview, I'm going to be talking to you for about 15 minutes, and then I'm going to call you in order how you came, how you arrived, speak to you for about 5 minutes, and then I'll go down to the next person and the next person. You always leave a staff member in the room with the people because somebody has to be in the room, right? But you'll be surprised because remember, you're looking for culture. So you get them in the room, one-on-one. You have to have somebody with you in the room, and you ask them a few random questions and you see how they answer. But meanwhile, you have a staff member in the other room. You're gonna they're going to pick up the people that start complaining. This is taking too long, I don't like this. Do you see, they're gonna pick it up and these people are gonna be flagged. Automatic, not cultural fit, right? Because when you work with patients, sometimes you just have to spend a good amount of time with a patient in pain and you have to have patience. If they don't have patience to wait 30 minutes for their time, do you see culturally it's not a fit, okay? So that's why you're gonna start picking up the cultural fit right there in the group interview. And then with your one-on-one, just ask them some random questions. Ask them and say, hey, I want to know your favorite color and why. And there's a reason for the random questions. Hey, what do you think about the new bridge that they're building in town? Just something random, and you don't want to make it random every one. Each person, like if you have 3 random questions, everybody gets the same 3 random questions. And what you're looking for is, can they just turn on a dime and have a conversation? Can they go, my favorite color blue because it's the color of the sky and I love a lovely blue sky, right? Great answer. They answered quickly. They could make a decision, right? Any position in your office that you don't want to answer quickly, make a decision. You have a front desk person. The patient says, I don't want to come in on Friday. Do you want the front desk person going, maybe, okay? Or do you want them saying, absolutely not. Let's get this thing worked out. See that cultural skill set of being able to answer and make a decision quickly and have an opinion on something? Ooh, it's very strong. We need that in our office, right? We absolutely need that. Patient says, I don't want to do my exercise. I get it. Come on. We know this is good for you. Let's do your exercise. That skill set is across every position in your office. So you're looking for how quickly do they respond to the question and what is the question like? And then, of course, what happens is you're looking for what we call their inability to basically answer a question. So I'll give you an example. You say, what do you think about that new bridge that's being built in town? Okay, great. And the person goes, the new bridge on Main Street? Yeah, the new bridge on Main Street. You mean the one that they tore the old bridge down and they're building a new bridge? Yeah, that one there. Yeah, you mean, so the bad, I gotta tell you, the traffic is terrible by that bridge. It's terrible by that bridge. Yeah, I understand. But what do you think about the new bridge being built? I gotta tell you, I have to drive different directions to get around that bridge. I understand, I do too, yeah. What do you think about that new bridge when it's going to be built? Oh, well, it's going to be great. Do you see how long it took for them to answer that question? See how long it took? You need somebody who can answer a question quickly, right? Remember, I'm looking for cultural fit, quickly. Let's give an example. Patient walks in the office and the patient says, or let's say you go up to your front desk and you say, "Where's Mary Smith?" And the front desk goes, "You mean Mary Smith, who's married to Mr. Smith?" And you go, "Yeah, Mary Smith is married to Mr. Smith." "Yeah, you know what, Mary Smith, I gotta tell you, Mary Smith has a busy life." "Okay, where is she?" "You know what, she's got soccer with her kids, she has dinner with her husband, she has to..." I get all that, but where is Mary Smith? Do you see the inability to answer the question? And you doctors, I know you're smiling out there because we've all had front desk people that when you ask, "Where is that patient?" they give you something back and they deflect. Because basically when you say, "Where's that new patient? Where is that patient?" you're expecting them to say, "I spoke with them on the phone, they're gonna come in on Tuesday," because you expect that they handled it, not deflect. So in the interview process, it's fun because you're looking to see, do they deflect and do they answer? Or do they actually say, "Hey, I love the idea of a new bridge. It's gonna be great for everybody." Wow, what a great answer. So that's what we do with our, now what we did was we got through everybody. So we had 40 people show up, or let's say 20 people show up. We did our group. We went through, we documented those questions, what they answered, right? We documented it down. And what we tell them is this is the first part of the interview process and that we'll be calling people back for second interviews. And when everybody's gone, we actually look at we tally up, we actually grade them on a scale of 1 to 5, right? Anybody who is a 3 or less on any of being able to answer a question is out. Is just out. They're just not a cultural fit. There's nothing wrong with the person. They probably were super professionally dressed. Their resume was stellar. But culturally, they couldn't answer a question. They couldn't look us in the eye, and they had no decision on the color they like. Whatever question is you choose, right? They're out. So of the 20 that showed up, you're down to now 5 people. Okay, now you can interview 5 people. Wanted to give you that. That's our kind of our secret weapon of our interviewing, because what I'll tell you is this, is that there are good people out there. That idea that if it weren't for people, business would be easy is completely false. It's the effort that it takes to find those people. And we have figured out how to streamline going through hundreds, just literally hundreds of people to be able to get to the gems that we actually want to interview and take to the next step. So what AMI does here is we give you all the forms for that first interview. We give you the questions, we do all the training videos on that part, but I just gave you enough, you can just do it yourself now, so go for it. And then we give you the next steps for the second interview. We teach you how to actually check references, and we teach you how to put an offer out so that you never again have to be held hostage like we were in the beginning. And you may have yourself, which is, my brother's friend needs a job and I tell you that they're great. Or how about this one, which is, hey, a patient says, my daughter is home from college for the summer, can you give her a job? And you think, oh, cheap labor, I'll put her at my front desk. Never again do you have to be held hostage for that. You're gonna literally go through your candidates like that and you will find a candidate that's gonna be a perfect fit for your office. You have a 9 out of 10 chance of that perfect fit for your office. So click the link below, click above, wherever the button is, click the link, see if we can help you on your interview process or on the whole process, because we know for sure that you can grow your practice with your people.